Well, we're going to go to Queensland now, where we're joined by the Queensland Premier David Crisafulli with data that has been published this morning that shows his adult crime, adult time laws are working. So the Premier joins us now. Premier, good to have you with us this morning. Thank you so much. So do you feel justified by this data that's come out to prove that you're on the right track at least?
Good morning, Peter. It's only green shoots. Yeah, it's heading in the right direction, but it's green shoots and we've got a long way to go. So if you're asking me whether or not I'm popping champagne corks, certainly not at this stage, mate. It's a reversal after 10 years of it all going in the other direction. It is a sign that there is a turnaround, but we've got a long way to go, I can assure you.
How big is the turnaround, Premier?
Well, I judge everything on victim numbers, Peter, because ultimately that's what matters. And in the first quarter of the data, there was a fall in the order of about 8%, just over 8% for stolen cars and break and enters. Now, if you say what does that mean in raw numbers, it means that somewhere in the order of about 500 fewer people had their car pinched and 1,033 fewer people had their home broken into. Now, that's very good for those people who otherwise would have had to go through the heartache that the same number of families did in the quarter before. But they're still off a high base, and there's still too many people who are victims of the youth crime crisis. And look, it's going to take time. It's been 10 years in the making. It's been 10 years of no consequences for actions, of falling police numbers, of not doing early intervention properly. So all those things, yeah, it'll take time. Yes, there's been a slight turnaround and there's been a slight improvement, but it's a long way to go.
How does this, is this a statewide thing as well, Premier? I mean, do you have the data on North Queensland, where you come from, or far North Queensland, where I am at the moment? And it's good to have you with us this morning, because when I was speaking to some locals here yesterday afternoon, crime still comes up, even though it's a state issue. You know, folks who don't follow the day-to-day of politics can't tell the difference between a federal politician or a state politician. So is it working up here or not?
It's a long way to go, and you're right. When I think of ground zero, the first places that were the victim when Labor watered down the laws were places like Townsville and Cairns, and we saw it just spread like wildfire throughout the state. So yeah, the signs are that there's been a slight reduction, but it's still front and centre in people's mind, and I'll tell you why. Because there's still too much of it, and whatever you've got me in the job, you're never going to have someone making excuses. You're going to have someone making tougher laws. And in the building behind me, next month, we're going to be passing the next wave of adult crime, adult time, as I said we would. So the first wave we did before Christmas, as I promised for the election. And my message to the young thugs and the Labor Party is, with or without your support, we're going to be passing them next month as well. Every change that we make under the LNP government will be to strengthen the laws, because we've seen what happens in the last 10 years where every change has been about weakening the laws. And we're going to have more police, and we've seen a record intake come through the academy. Equally pleasingly, we've had the first sign that the attrition rate's improving in the police to keep our best and brightest and make sure that they don't leave what is a calling to be a police officer. We're out to market for early intervention, for rehabilitation. I'm not going to rest on this. It's going to be every single day we're going to try and do things better, because this state has had enough, and the numbers remain too high. Green shoots, yes. Job done, no. Okay.
We are, of course, just 5 days out, 6 days out now from the federal election on this weekend. The polls are suggesting that your federal colleague Peter Dutton doesn't have much of a chance, or any chance really, of forming a majority government. It's looking likely to be a hung parliament in the favour of the Labor Party at this point. But how do you think Peter Dutton and his team are tracking in Queensland, David?
Well, that tells you how close things are. Polls have been wrong plenty times before, and I've seen plenty polls over the years tell you that Peter wasn't going to win his own seat, and yet people who know him support him, and I'm one of them. I've known him most of my adult life, and I think he'd make an amazing Prime Minister. I do. I think he's got the fortitude, he's got the ticker. I think he'd be a once-in-a-generation Prime Minister. So I'm under no illusions about how tough winning any election is from opposition, but he's got the right stuff, and I can tell you Queenslanders will be backing him in because they've seen his work over the years.
Okay, that's the Queensland Premier David Crisafulli joining us live on the program. Thank you, Premier.